Hello friends, I'm George, the nice manic gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. It's time for your daily dose of some fragrance content, and for today's video I've randomly selected 6 good clones from my collection. Now the first fragrance that I've included in today's video comes from the brand of Paris Corner, and it's called December Vanilla. This one is a clone of Kayali's Vanilla Royale Sugared Patchouli. I think that's the full name of the original fragrance. Now I don't have experience with the original one, so I cannot tell you how good it is as a clone or how close it feels to the original fragrance, but I can tell you that I really like the way that December Vanilla smells. Now this is a very interesting take on the vanilla theme fragrance. It has, as you saw, a very nice atomizer. This fragrance opens up with a very nice, sweet, and at the same time a boozy vanilla note. I think there's also a rum note in the opening of this fragrance. You'll pick up a bit of florals as well. It's sweet, but it's not overly sweet. And also on the dry down, this becomes a little bit sweeter. You also will pick up some spices in the opening of this fragrance. And on the dry down, this is more like a mix between the sweet vanilla note, that sort of a creme brulee note I think it has in this fragrance, so it feels kind of gourmand. Also a bit of musk, some patchouli, and some agar oud. But don't be afraid of the agar oud note, because it doesn't feel animalic or anything like that. In fact, it doesn't feel like a real agar oud note. To me, it feels like more standard, woody note. So it's very easy to wear. It's slightly sweet, not slightly, it's sweet, it's slightly boozy, it's gourmand, it's woody with a bit of a floral touch to it, and maybe also you'll get a bit of a hint of a leather note. It's perfectly unisex in my opinion, and in fact I know quite a few girls around me that like the scent of December Vanilla from Paris Corner. It has good longevity, it doesn't project super hardly, so you should keep that in mind, but the total longevity is actually quite nice and the price point is reasonable. The next one that I'm going to feature in today's video comes from the brand of Maison Asrar, and it's called Oud Intense. Now when you look at when you hear the name of this fragrance, you may not be prepared for what it is coming as a scent profile. This particular one is a clone of Dior Homme Intense, of all things. So the name is right if you know the context. Basically this is like a slightly more woodier version of Dior Homme Intense from from that very famous Homme line. Basically you'll get the Dior Homme Intense scent profile with quite a bit of a sweet and powdery lipsticky iris note. You'll get some of the musks, maybe a hint of that sweet pure, and also the ouds that you get with the original fragrance. But what's intensified in this one is the ouds, basically those woody notes. So this is like a more woody take on the scent of Dior Homme Intense, so at least they got the name right. I think Oud Intense actually is a nice name to name this fragrance. If you like, powdery, lipsticky, irisy based fragrances, you'll probably enjoy Oud Intense. Again, just keep in mind that this is not a one-to-one clone to Dior Homme Intense. This feels slightly more woody, especially on the dry down. Quality though is quite nice. Performance and projection are also quite good. Maybe not exactly on par with the original fragrance, but still quite good in my opinion. And also this tends to be quite cheap, at least around here. A bottle of this one costs around about 25 to 30 euros, so it's a fraction of the price of the original fragrance. The next one that I've included in today's video comes from the brand of Armaf, and it's one of those hidden gems from Armaf that I like to mention from time to time. This one is heavily inspired by Bulgari's Men in Black, but again, just like the previous one, this doesn't feel like a straight up clone of Bulgari's Men in Black. This feels a little bit fresher, a little bit more airy, maybe ever so slightly more spicy and sort of greener in my opinion. But in the air this actually smells quite nice and quite similar to Bulgari's Men in Black. It's like a more, let's call it summery, summer version, or more like a warm weather version of Bulgari's Men in Black. I think the Armaf steak is a little bit more versatile compared to the original fragrance. Still smells very masculine, smells very classy. You get a magnetic cap, although a weak one, but still a magnetic cap. A little bit of a tacky of presentation, but you should expect that from a brand like Armaf. Quality of the scent is good, performance is pretty decent on skin. Again, this doesn't tend to project very loudly, keep that in mind, but if you like the scent of Bulgari's Men in Black, you'll probably enjoy our Mafa Signature Night. The next one that I've included in today's video comes from the brand of Latafa and part of the original Pride line, and it's called Ansam Silver. This one is a clone of Azaro's The Most Wanted. Now again, it's more like a clone with a twist. This one feels a little bit less sweet than the original Azaro fragrance. This feels a little bit greener, maybe a little bit more spicy, slightly more aromatic than the original fragrance, but nonetheless it carries the DNA of the Azaro fragrance. It's a very likable, very easy to wear fragrance that has quite a bit of spiciness. You'll get a bit of freshness in the opening. There's that lavender note which gives this one a very aromatic scent, and also on the dry down you'll get quite a bit of vanillic and ambery sweetness. But again, this feels a little bit greener and a little bit less sweet than the original scent, but it's a very likable fragrance on its own. It's actually done quite nicely. It's quite a versatile scent. Again, because of the slightly less sweetness that it has, it's a little bit more versatile than the original fragrance, and it has really nice quality. Performance is decent, projection is decent, and it's quite a bit cheaper than the original scent from Azaro. The next one included in today's video comes from the brand of Fragrance World, and it's called Starman, and this one is a clone of Thierry Mugler's Amen, the original Amen. And this is a fragrance that brings quite a lot of sort of an old school vibes. It's a bit synthetic, especially in the first few minutes, but I know a lot of people who have experience with the original fragrance will argue that the original one also feels kind of synthetic in the opening. It's a very complex scent that's quite dark. You have an interesting mix of some fresh notes like bergamot, like a mint note which adds some freshness. There's some lavender, and then there are a lot of those darker notes. There's some sweetness, honey, caramel, you'll get some tonka bean, you'll get some coffee, some vanilla, you'll get quite a lot of musk, you'll get some woodiness with this one. It's actually quite a complex and at the same time again feeling very old school scent, but definitely smells very similar to the original fragrance from Thierry Mugler. It costs a fraction of the price of the original. Again, I think this is a good fragrance if you can get past that first few minutes where this feels kind of synthetic, especially up close. Keep in mind that my bottle has been quite old. It's been sitting for a long amount of time and still, feels quite synthetic in the first few minutes. But again, on the dry down, this actually becomes quite a pleasant scent, as long as you don't mind something a little bit darker, something that feels a little bit of old school. Performance is decent, nothing spectacular, but at the same time, this, because I think of that slight sort of chemical nature that it has, especially in the opening, the projection in the first hour and a half of this one is quite strong. It's quite a loud fragrance. So if you enjoy a little bit older, smelling fragrances like the original Amen from Mugler, I think Starman from Fragrance World actually does a good job as being an alternative to that one. And the last fragrance that I've included in today's video comes from the brand of Al Haramain, and it's called Junon Oud. And this fragrance, this is a very, very nice fragrance, probably the highest quality feeling one that I've included in today's video. This smells very similar to Bulgari's Tiger on one hand and Vibrato from the brand of Suspiro on the other hand. So it has this very masculine and very versatile scent profile that I'm a huge fan of. I really like both original scents. I really like all the good clones of those two that I have in my collection. It has a very nice, very bright, slightly sweet opening with a lot of freshness, citrusy freshness. You'll get a sweet grapefruit note in the opening of this one. You'll get some spices. There are some woods. There's some ambery sweetness on the dry down, some musks. To my nose, this smells very classy, smells very masculine, and again, it's a super, super versatile scent. As you would expect from something a little bit more expensive from the brand of Al Haramain, this also carries a superb quality. It has a very good performance considering that it's a fresh type of scent. And all around, I'm a really huge fan of the whole scent DNA and of Junon Oud as well. So Junon Oud from Al Haramain is the last fragrance included in today's video. And so guys, in today's video I showed you 6 good clones that I randomly picked up from my collection. I hope that you found this video interesting to watch. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me tomorrow for your daily dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.